Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. In this episode, we're headed back across to Western Australia to the Swan River to review the Kayak Round 2, which was held on the 26th and 27th of July and was also in conjunction with Hobie Fishing, was a qualifying round for the Hobie Kayak Fishing Series. Now, one of the good things about this one, we did have a few guys fly across from New South Wales to join in, but it looks like the West Oz guys just smashed it, taking out certainly the top end of the field. Anyway, let's roll the intros and let's get straight into it. Here we go.
Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here is your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
Alrighty, I'm going to run through the bite periods and what have you, and then get into just a couple of divisions in this one and into the angler interviews. So for this one, 81 in the fish activity wheel on the Saturday. The minor bite period went from 7:35 through to 9:05, with a major bite period at 12:33 through to 3:03 p.m. High tide was at 10:12 a.m. at 0.87, running down to a low tide at 7:27 at 0.3. On Sunday, we had 69 in the fish activity wheel, with a minor bite period at 8:06 through to 9:36 a.m., with a major bite period just in the very back of the session at 1:19 through to 3:49 p.m. High tide was at 10:39 a.m. at 0.81, running down to a low tide at 7:39 p.m. at 0.35. Now, in the divisions, aside from the winners, the day one big bream winner went to Paul Samasco, measuring a beast at 1.18. On the Sunday, Rick Rainham came through with a 1.27 kilos, which gave him the overall big bream and also got the monster mover. How good is that? Well done, Rick. All right, let's get into the angler interviews. Here we go. All right. So first up in third place, I have an angler dropping a 3 fish for 2.26 kilos on the Saturday, backing it up on the Sunday with 3 fish for 1.71, giving him a total of 6 fish for 3.970. I'd like to welcome back to the Bream Fishing Project, Matt McCarthy. Welcome back, mate.
Thanks, mate. It's good to be here again.
Mate, another good result for you on the Swan. You enjoy the comp?
Yeah, it did. It was certainly not without its challenges, but it ended up being very rewarding in the end. So definitely worth getting out there, especially in some of the weather we had on the second day. So yeah, definitely worth getting out there and putting in the time.
Definitely. And look, there was a bit of a standout. Obviously, you're 140 grams above Alex, but from you up, you're another 500 grams, 600, actually probably nearly 700 grams behind Joseph. And then Travis, another 700
he blew
grams
us
again.
away. He was put on a masterclass.
So what a comp. What a comp.
Good weights. Anytime you get over 2 kilos, I think for 3 fish bag over here, you're doing pretty well.
Exactly. All right, let's lead into pre-fish. Did you get out and have a look around and leading into the comp?
Yeah, I got out of 2.5, 3 weeks before for a bit of an afternoon session. It was pre-fish, but also I was actually going mulloway fishing as my primary objective. And I was just on the live and I was just scanning around as I was moving, just looking at the usual haunts this time of year where the fish hang out. Found plenty of fish on the live, on the active targets, stacked up, but could not get bites out of them. They were really, really lockjaw, and that was a bit of the theme through the comp as well. But yeah, lots of fish on the usual areas, but just really struggled. So I just figured another couple of weeks, hopefully they'll settle down and the water temperatures will settle and all the fresh will settle and all that kind of thing, and they should bite in the comp, and they kind of did.
It kind of did, but when they're stacked up like that and you can see them, have you got any tips, anything that you try and do to stimulate a bite?
I mean, I just start cycling. I start with my confidence baits, and then I just start cycling baits through to try and see if I can get a reaction, if you can either see it on the live or get that bite. If it's really tough, I like throwing a 3 pound straight through setup. I'm confident with pygmy mussels on 3 pound straight through. I like throwing a light-weighted Sprat 75. There's a few lures I just like to cycle through, which I know if I know how to work them properly to get a bite in most scenarios. And if you can't get a bite on those, I go, maybe they're just not eating. But
maybe not today.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. And did you get any mulloway?
No. I had a lot of casting playing with big swim baits, but no boils or anything. But it was nice to be out there.
Right. And before we move off the mulloway, right now, what's the swim bait that you want to catch a mulloway on the most? What's on your hit list?
I've just got myself one of the really big Gamexa baits. They're a big aluminium alloy bait 2-piece, which is really cool, big 240 mil long thing. But there's a couple from Japan I want to get, and there's a few in the shop as well. That I want to catch them on everything. Let's be real.
Fair enough. All right, very cool. All right, let's get round to comp day. So you obviously got a really good bag on day one. Tell us about how that went.
Yeah, day started pretty much straight across from the launch. The plan was to just pedal straight to Garrett Road Bridge, which was only a couple hundred metres from the launch, and try and get a prime pylon and hopefully get a bite early. So it was a bit of a race across there, and Jojo in his Revo got there first, and I managed to pull up next to him and had a few casts, and I probably gave it, say, a dozen casts, and that was enough for me to say, yeah, it's not happening. It was just one of those spots where I wanted to stop quickly. If there was a bite, great. If not, we'll move on. It was one of the places I found fish stacked on the live sonar in the pre-fish, and the fish were still there, but they still didn't want to bite. So
Sure.
I pretty much didn't want to waste too much time there. My main plan was further down the river, so I moved off of that and left Joey to have his bridge to himself. And I headed down the river, and there's a few spots to peel off to. And there was just obviously kayaks in front of me, so I was just kept moving until I found one that was free. And I got around the first bend, and it was pretty much open on the straightaway. And there's an old jetty that comes out from one of the bank to a channel marker. And I've caught some good fish off that before, so I just made a beeline to that marker and set myself up facing into the current of the wind, and pretty much cast straight in with a little muss from Dowley, the cockle. And within one hop, it just went clunk and had the first fish on, and it actually played up a little bit, and I thought, oh, this is all right. Came up and flopped in the net, and that was a 30-forker. So that was a pretty good start to the day. Yeah, I was feeling pretty good about it. Got the live well on, did the old pedal in a circle, get the pump flowing, and repositioned again, and had another cast, missed, and then went cast again, and went again, and reeled that one in, and it was another 30-forker. So, no,
wow,
this is all right.
Looking good. Over a kilo, looking good.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is a good start today. And then pedaled around again, threw back in, and I think another one or two casts, and there was another 30-forker. So fantastic.
Wow, that is a great start.
Yeah, it was a cracking start today. This is awesome. Had it all to myself, and I just relaxed straight away. You know, having a bag, I think it was 7:15 or something. I had a pretty solid bag, so I was feeling really good. I ended up sitting on that for quite a while. Actually, I pulled some more fish off of it, and I rotated between that little muss and Joey's pygmy muss as well on 3 pound straight through, and I pulled more fish off of it, and I pretty much covered it, what I thought was pretty thoroughly, until the bites really dried up. Although supposedly Joey fished my dirty water and pulled a pretty good one off it, but I'm sure he'll tell you about that.
He probably will. Tell me, you were fishing the cockle colour in the Outback Brimmer baits. What were you using in Joey's lineup?
I was using the black one in that one.
Okay.
I only had a couple left, so I just had a couple of blacks left. I had to go and raid Joey's tackle box at the end of the day to go and get some more.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I peppered that pretty hard, and once I was pretty confident that was it, I moved on. And seeing that I had a good bag, I sort of cruised, and I was also thinking ahead to the next day, and I was looking for more fish. So I got the side scan on, and I was just going and cruising pretty much along all of the bank. Normally I'd skip it, but I went down the entire bank just to try and see what I could find, and having a few casts here and there if there was anything that I hadn't found prior. And that pretty much took me all the way down to the Belmont area, where I caught up with a couple of other guys fishing on the rock walls down there. And at the end of the Belmont area, there's a reef, and then there's a bit of a stretch of bank, and that's an area I do like to fish, and it does produce really good fish at times. So I kind of leapfrogged through with the guys and got my way up there. And pretty much as soon as I got to that Belmont area, I started to see fish on the banks and on the side scan. And as I pulled up off the end of one of the trees, and I was parallel with the bank, I sort of sat there for a second, and as I was casting, I looked down at the sounder, and you could just see, as I was stationary, fish coming through on the beams of each side of the side scan. You could just see the shadow and the long white sort of line. and you could just see there was lots of fish just moving up and down, and it was right on the 2-meter contour line. Like it's a bit of a gradual drop off. It's a bit of a sandy bank, and then it sort of steps away and then steps away again. And it just seemed right on that 2-meter line, there was just fish flowing up and down like a highway. So I started casting on there with the pygmy and 3-pound straight through, and just shaking it on the bottom very gently and then pausing. It didn't take long, and I hooked another fish. Just kind of, it was a very subtle bite, like really subtle bite. It was kind of just felt a little bit of weight and gently wound it on, and they just took off. There wasn't really any structure there, so I had quite light drag, and they were running all over the place. But I think that one came in, and it was about a 32.5 forker. So chucked that one to the 30s. I was feeling even better. Yeah. Good. And then probably I'd say 10 or 15 minutes later, just doing the same thing, exact same thing happened again, and that one was about 33.5 fork, I think. So that one went in and the 30 went out. And that was pretty much my fish for the day. At that point, Alex and Trav had come through as well, and we were kind of sharing the space in there. And I could see those guys were doing pretty well. But I moved off at probably 11:30 maybe, and went to look for more spots tomorrow. Went down to Wyndon Bridge and had a look around there. Spent about 20 minutes down there and decided it was not happening. The wind and the tide were no good, and it was pretty hard work fishing. And there seemed to be a lot of snotweed around. Most of the banks that I'd just stopped on the way there was a lot of that really thick snotweed, which was really making it difficult to fish. That one little probably 100-meter stretch on Belmont just seemed to be clear. Anything sort of under that 1.5 meters on that bank there just seemed to be clear of snotweed, and you could really slowly work the lure along the bottom where the fish were tight to the bottom. So, yeah, that was pretty much my day one.
Yeah, right. So with your day, you ended up with, what did we say, 2.26. Now, but prior to weigh-in, what would you have thought you would have needed to lead it? Like, what were you thinking?
I was thinking I was going to be doing pretty good. It was like, from what I'd heard from other anglers, that it had been quite a tough day. Not a huge amount of fish caught, and I knew that the boys around me had a bag, but there was only a few of us there, and I didn't know how upriver had gone or how down further towards the causeway, guys who'd made runs down there and Claysbrook and that kind of thing. So you can get some really big bags down there. So I was quietly confident.
Yeah.
That I figured I would be in that top 5 with a bag.
Yeah,
I think on the Swan at time of year, I thought I had around 2.1. I thought I'd be sort of getting close within striking distance of the podium. The caliber of those anglers, like they can drop some pretty big bags on the scales, and especially on the Swan. So, yeah, I felt like I hadn't lost it on day one.
Absolutely. No, it was a great round. I just wanted to get a feel for what was kind of expected. All right, let's roll into day 2. Now, I'm told there was a little bit of weather going on over there. So you want to tell us about that and how your day planned out?
Saturday was nice and sunny and a little bit of wind, not too bad. Sunday was, I don't want to say apocalyptic, but it was pretty wet and cold.
Okay, let me stop you there. So when you got down to the launch, had the weather already started?
No,
Did you
not
get
quite.
out in rain?
It wasn't quite.
Okay.
It had that kind of eerie sky going on and feeling to it. And as we got ready, it hadn't quite come in yet. As we lined up on the start line, there was a massive double big rainbow over the bridge, and it had kind of like a pinky orange glow in the air, and it looked like it was threatening.
Yeah.
And I reckon probably 20 minutes into the paddle heading down towards where I started, I could see it coming in over the city, the dark and the black clouds, and the city disappeared. I went, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, it's happening.
It came and it didn't stop.
Yeah, right. Well, that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us about the fishing. Where'd you first fish, or how'd you get your first fish?
So I wanted to start on that same jetty, but again, Joey was quicker than me in the revo and he got there first. And it broke my heart as well, because he snagged up on the first cast and pedalled over the structure. And I went, no.
No.
But I just kept on moving, and I ended up getting to the Belmont bank first. I ended up just pedaling straight there. I figured if that's where I got fish yesterday, that's where I'll get fish today. Yeah, and I pulled up straight onto the bank. And this day I started with the Bruce.
Okay. Which company's that one out of?
That's Razor Edge Lures. So he's a guy down Bustleton Way. Does a few cool baits, and the Bruce is by far the most popular one. It's I think it's only about 2 inches long, 2 and a bit inches long. It's a little creature bait, claws on it. I've fished it quite a bit in the past, and it's one of those baits where I fish it and I go away from it for no real reason and it rolls back around again. But obviously knowing that Trav likes to fish it and he fished in the same order as me on the first day and he did a lot better, I figured I better tie that on and
Yeah, fair enough.
and give that a go first up. It worked well. So I pretty much rocked straight up and had a couple of casts just leading into the area I caught them before. And then pretty much as soon as I got onto it on that same contour, I actually found they were sitting slightly shallower, sort of between 1.5 and 2, but they were moving a little bit shallower. And I just started slow rolling the Bruce, like painfully slow rolling, just ticking the handle over just to keep contact with the line. And the bite was super, super subtle. It was almost like you had a little bit of snotweed on there, just that little bit of resistance, and then just wind up a little bit more, and then you'd feel a bit more weight and hit it. And then with the Bruce, I actually had it in the mouth, and I was hooking them in the top of the mouth, and they were shaking their heads. So you could feel the vibrating through the line. And yeah, I think within 10 minutes of being there, I had a 29 fork in the well. So it was a pretty good start to the day.
Okay. So you started with the 29, but with that Bruce, what hook do you put in that?
So there's a few that I've rotated through. I started with the Kayak, the tungsten heads. I think that was about a 1/12. I think they call it like a 350 something, or I think it's about 1/11th, 1/12th, whatever it works out to be.
Okay.
And it was a size 3 hook. I feel that matches the Bruce really nicely.
Sure.
And that was, the good sharp hook's nice and sticky, and the tungsten gives you as much feedback as possible as it bumps along the bottom. I've had a few more casts with that, and I didn't get a bite, so I just decided to quickly cycle through a few of my baits just to see if any of the ones from yesterday were working with the cockle-muss and the pygmy-muss. But the wind was a bit stronger, and obviously with the rain, and it was with and the cloud as well, I couldn't see the straight-through fluoro. It was too invisible, like laying on the water, and I like to visually see it. And you had no feel because of the conditions, so it just made keeping contact impossible. So after going through a few of those baits, I pretty much went straight back to the Bruce again, and only a few casts later, I got another one, and I think that one was a 33 forker or thereabouts.
Okay. So you got 2 in the well. You got a 29 and a 33.
Yep.
It's raining, potentially a bit of maybe sideways rain.
Yeah, it was definitely smacking in the face.
Yeah. And you also got a chance of winning.
Yes.
So, like, you know that you're close enough.
Yeah, I was definitely shaking, and it wasn't just from the cold. I was quite excited. And I thought, you just got one fish to go, and there was no one who caught up to me at that stage. I still had it to myself. So I thought, we'll keep working it, and a third fish will come. And I kept going with that Bruce, and then Trav rocked up behind me, and then he pulled a big one out of my dirty water. Which,
ouch!
Like, that hurts. And then we kept fishing, didn't have any more, and then he cruised past and just leapfrogged in front. We kind of said, you fished. We both fished yesterday. Just shared the water. It's all good.
Okay.
So he just he went along in front, and I watched him catch another fish.
Ouch!
Right. And then probably another 20 minutes, half an hour go by, and look up and go, he's got another fish.
Oh, so you know now that he's got 3 and he's got a good one.
Yeah, I saw him with a bag. I was like, what is he doing that I'm not? Because I was pretty confident that he'd be fishing the same bait and similar weights and all that kind of thing. And this pretty much went on until about 11 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
And I had those 2 fish in there by I think about 8 o'clock or thereabouts, just after 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So that's a long time.
It was a long period. And then just saying to myself, just keep fishing. It's all good. The fish will come. and the fish wasn't coming.
Oh, mate.
And even I watched Alex come down behind. I think he pulled a couple of fish as well from behind where I was fishing. And I was just really scratching my head about what to do different. Yeah, I think I got to about 11:30, and I just like, right, that's it. Got to try something else. So I went across to a flat on the opposite side just to see if I could pull just a legal off that. There's usually plenty of 27, 28, 29 tippers on the flat opposite.
Sure.
And I had a quick pedal around there, and I could see fish hanging out, but they were very small and not a lot of them, not as much as there usually is, and a lot of snotweed on that flat. So, yeah, I went back over to the bank again, probably gave another 20 minutes and said, right, I've got to figure out something else. And there was a couple of banks that I'd scanned on the way down, which I could see fish on first thing in the morning. and just weighing up, do I sit and grind this bank out or do I go there? And I ended up making the decision to go back up the river towards the launch and fish my way back and hit a couple of the banks. But as soon as I got, there was probably 2 or 3 banks, and as soon as I got to each and every one of them, I just realised I'd made a mistake. They were covered in weed. They were pretty much just not fishable. The way that I was fishing, and it wasn't the same setup. Like it wasn't the pattern that I'd been on.
Yeah,
which is quite frustrating. I was getting quite just frustrated with myself in the decision making. It's when you in these tournaments, you've got to make the decision making is important. You've got to make the right decisions, and in a kayak,
exactly.
more so than a boat, you can't just go, oh well, turn around and just quickly cruise back down to the bank I was on. It was kind of too late in the day for that, so I kind of committed.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kept going up, ended up back at Garrett Road Bridge at probably 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Still with only 2 fish in the bag, and had a few casts on there, and that was as dead as it was on the start of day 1. And I was just going, what have I done? Why have I done this? And I just figured, oh, well, you got an hour and a bit to go. Let's just go fishing. And I just put myself on one of the banks and just started cruising along and fishing confident. I just went back to the confidence bait, which was the pygmy on 3 pound straight, because it was a bit more protected up there. I could fish it a bit easier. And I was just dumping it on the end of all the timber and the rock walls and just pretty much systematically fishing 1 cast here, 1 cast there, move on, and just picking it apart as I went. I finally got a rat, which was just not a legal fish, but it just gave me a bit of a confidence, like, right, there's some fish here.
There's something.
And just kept picking my way along, and then eventually got to a tree and put a cast in and pulled another rat off it and went, oh, that's all right. And I have a cast back in there and cast back in and wound up tight and heavy. And on 3 pound, you got to get the slack out of that line. So I was like, wound up the slack, and then once I got that tension on it, I just felt the head shake, just doof, 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 and you go, oh,
yeah,
that's all right. That's a pretty good fish.
Better.
And then I sort of kept one of that tension. Then it really started to take off and go sideways and shake its head. I go, oh, that's actually a proper fish. Just had the rod in the air and won against the drag as hard as possible. And I thought I had it out. Oh, this is the fish. You know, in the head, it's like, this is the fish. This is the one to keep me in the mix. And on the way out, it just must have found just a little stick or something and just went and let go.
No.
Yeah. And this was probably like 1:45 maybe-ish, 10 to 1. So I think our weigh-in was at 2:10. And I was probably still 10 minutes from the finish line where I was. So I thought, that's it. You blew it.
Yeah, that was the fish.
Game over. So I retired and quickly I'll just go to the other side, have a fish. And I thought, no, what are you doing? You just hooked fish off that bank. Go back to that bank. And I had about 5 minutes to go. Oh, it's now or never. And just before that snag, I cast into another one, felt the weight and wound up and skipped to 27 tipper. And it was the most, the best 27 tipper I think I've ever caught.
Yeah.
The relief was very good. So that one quickly went in the well. I had about 2 more casts and then turned and headed back into the breeze to get back to the weigh-in in time with a full bag.
Time to go. And was it all this time? Was it still raining and windy and yuck?
Absolutely blowing some big. When I hooked those fish, there was a massive squall blowing through, so I was just absolutely channeling down the river, big capping waves, and the rain was on and off and on and off. But I was already soaked through, so it didn't matter. It was cold anyway. Yeah. So yeah, it was very, very good. Yeah, later found out that probably 200 meters down the bank, Rick Rainham, who got big bream on day 2, hooked his pretty much at the same time I hooked my big one. So there must have just been a bit of a bite as that squall came through on that bank, and it was hitting just right with because the water was right up due to all the storm surge and that kind of thing. So and the high tide, so there was a lot of flooded edges where they don't usually get, I suppose, and they just must have been chewing at that time.
Definitely. I was going to say that for me, I've got the major bite period starting at 20 past 1. So you're kind of right on the edges of that.
Yeah.
Whether it's accurate or not, I mean, it's, is what it is, but.
That would make sense though. Yep, definitely.
It's about right. There you go. Well, look, as it ended up, you pulled in your 6 fish. You ended up in 3rd place, which was pretty good. In terms of tackle, so you definitely used 3 pound. What sort of braid and leader combos were you running?
So nearly all my braid is P.6. I've got a bit of a mix. I like trying different braids. I really like the Varavass. Varavass, there's an eggy braid and there's a green one. I think it's Matt's Power Casting. It's really nice. And I've got some Tasline on there and the YGK. It's the X braid, Smarky X braid. That's really nice stuff as well. But it's all P.6 and it all breaks anywhere from 10 to 14 pounds. So nice and thin, but you got plenty of extra braking strength. So, it's going to be the weakest link. And then my leaders, I was running anywhere from 4 to 7. I was using the V-Hard, Sunline V-Hard. I quite like that. It's one I like to use in the comps. I don't like to use the social fishing because it's a bit hexy, but it's good for comp day.
Very good.
And then, all 2500 size reels. I like to wind pretty hard against the fish and the drag. And I have a range of Miller rods and dial ring feeds that I like to use.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. All right. I reckon that's a pretty good rundown. For third place, what did you get to take home?
A couple $100 in cash, which is nice, and a prize pack full of all the sponsor goodies.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. And given it was a Hobie qualifier, was there enough to get you a spot there?
I don't think so. I think the spot goes to Trav, and obviously Joey's already qualified. So
it might have just been one spot. I'm not across it yet.
You never know. But if it comes up, which would be nice. So I'd love to get over and fish it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, mate. Last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, the guys that run the comp, all the team. A lot of them don't get the credit they deserve from setting up, packing down, running the weigh-in. The camera guys and the media guys coming out in that weather and taking photos and being support boats. The whole team. I won't name names because I'll forget someone, but they're all fantastic and certainly appreciate everything they do to keep these comps running. And I'm very, very grateful because I love having the opportunity to be able to fish these events. And then to my workplace, Tackle West, it's where I get all my gear. It's plenty of toys in there, all the Bream toys and all the lollies that you could imagine. You get all that gear at tacklewest.com.au.
Perfect. And this will be a while before this comes out between recording and airing, but with all the stuff coming out of after, is there anything that you're particularly excited about seeing in the shop?
There's a lot of things. There's something very niche, but there's the new interline rods from Daiwa, the infeeds.
Okay. Are there overhead there for a bait caster style reel?
There's one bait cast model and 3 spinning models. So interline, if you don't know, people listening don't know, the line goes through the inside of the blank. So there's no guides on the rod. I've never used one before, but I am really keen to get my hands on one of those. They're going to be a really cool rod.
Okay. I've been told that the older models were really good for blades.
Right. Interesting.
I don't know whether that's true.
I've got no experience, but I think they're going to be good either way.
Very cool. All right. Well, something to look forward to. Look, thanks for coming on again. Congratulations. And I'm sure we'll get to have a chance to have a talk in the future.
Thanks, Davey.
All right. Coming in second place, we have an angler dropping 3 fish on the Saturday for 2.310. Backed it up with another bag of 2.350, giving him 6 fish for 4.660. And second place, I have Joseph Gardner. Welcome back, mate.
Hey, Andrew. How's it going?
Good, mate. Another very consistent round for you, mate.
Yeah, another second. I think that makes it 4 now. I've run across the kayaks and the boats, so consistently second best.
Consistently the bridesmaid. Looking good.
First loser.
First loser. Yep. That's right. You only got beaten by one person.
Yeah. But fortunately, this is another one like the boat comp a few months ago where Travis absolutely smashed it both days.
He did. And his story's coming up just after this, and it's a good story too.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, I'm looking forward to actually hearing it as well because I watched him fish and a little bit over the weekend, and yeah, he's definitely got that technique down packed.
Yes, and with a couple of his favourite lures that keep coming back and back.
Yeah, not ones that many people throw either, which is really cool.
Definitely. All right, mate. Let's get into this one. Tell us about pre-fishing. Did you get down there and have a bit of a look around?
Yeah, because it was Perth, and fortunately enough, I've got a bit of a flexible job, so I can get out during the week. I went out 4 times,
okay,
which is probably the most I've pre-fished in a long time, but that was just because the first pre-fish was horrendous. The second one was just as bad. The third one was just as bad, and then the fourth one was equally as bad as the previous 3. So,
wow.
I think I caught first pre-fish. I went out with Michael Samet, and we went right upriver and couldn't really find much. That was probably the best pre-fish in the end. I think we caught 6 or 7 legals between us all day. Mm-hmm. Then the following week, went out with him again right downriver. We only caught 2 fish.
Right.
following that, went out again just myself, fished sort of the middle reaches. I only caught 2 fish. And then final pre-fish, I only caught, I think it was 3 legals. So, yeah, it was
Wow.
really, really slow. And we had a big weather front coming in. So it all sort of went out the window anyway, even if I did find fish.
Yeah, wow. It sounds like between all of those, you had one good pre-fish if you combined them all.
Yeah, if you combine them all, it would have been great. But the interesting thing was sort of the fish. I mean, I didn't catch enough to really get a pattern, but I caught 1 or 2 across all the different areas. So right up to Midland Brick, which is too far to go in a kayak, but I went up there just to see if they were maybe going to get flushed down from up there. They weren't, but I did catch a couple, and then sort of down that upper reaches around Lilac Hill, and that got a few through there with salmon. That was the first pre-fish, and then pretty much all the way down to Narrows, it was just real patchy.
Yeah, right. All right. So then, given all that, you got a front coming through. What was your plan?
Yeah, I wasn't actually too sure. So come comp day, I sort of relied on fishing right near the launch and then making my mind up depending how many people went each way. So yeah, it could have gone either way. And by the looks of the results, I mean, if you look at Rick's day 2 massive bag that came from way upriver, it really could have been one either way.
That's right. That's right. And I might be wrong in saying this, but I believe Rick did the same thing both days.
Yeah, and completely different bags. It's just, yeah, they were definitely spread out through, I think where our launch was right in Bayswater, the scout hall there. If you look at sort of where the oxygenation is and the chlorophyll is across the water reports that we've got, that sits right smack bang in the middle of where they're probably about to spawn. So either way of that was pretty much ideal for where the fish were.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. All right. Tell us about your Saturday. Tell us how that played out.
Yeah, headed straight to Garrett Road Bridge, which has become a well-known bridge. I know a few East Coast guys did well on it a few years ago, and since then, Stuart McCarthy has done well on it. And last year, our grand final was one off of it with Matt. So headed straight there and just thought I'd spend 30, 40 minutes there and see what came of it, which was nothing.
Nothing.
Not even a small fish. I got 1 bite on my 2nd or 3rd cast, and that was it. So completely dead. Yeah, I mean, it looked like they were there. They were definitely on the sounder, but they were not biting.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. What did you decide to do then? Like, what's going through your head? You're like, oh,
Yeah.
bad pre-fishes.
Not really sure, to be honest. I just sort of went, I'm already headed sort of that couple 100 meters downriver to the bridge. I'll just go down. I'll spot hop my way and sort of junk fish a few spots along the way, all the way to the next bridge, and see what happens in between. So that was pretty much all day one. Was then I spent about that 30, 40 minutes at the bridge like I sort of had planned, and then headed about a K down. Further than that, there's a little bank with a couple of trees that shags sort of sit on. I got 127 tipper out of that.
Yep.
And then further around the corner, Maylands, there's a yacht club, and opposite that yacht club, Maylands Yacht Club, there's a green marker pole.
Mm-hmm.
That green marker pole actually sits right where an old jetty used to be. So there's a whole bunch of old pylons submerged under the water there. And there was people fishing along the bank right up shallow. And I sort of just slotted in behind them and fished out deep on that little pole. And first cast with a brim prawn there, I got my 2nd fish, which turned out to be the big one for me on day 1. That was a 34 forker.
Okay.
Well, that was a really good fish. That's actually the same spot that Matt McCarthy got his first 3 fish off on day 1 as well, I'm pretty sure. So to come in after him and slot a big one was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I just headed down opposite Maylands boat ramp. There's a few shag trees through there as well, and just pitching brim prawns along there. Managed to pick up my 3rd and lost a couple more. And then that was it until I got all the way to where Travis was fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Matt was also down there, and I just sort of slotted around them. Didn't really fish too much, and then thought I'd leave it for them. They'd obviously smashed it there already, so I headed around the corner and made my way all the way to Wyndon Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another bridge, but they were definitely there as well, the fish, but they were absolutely lockjaw. So couldn't get them to bite, but I sat there for another couple of hours and plucked out 2 upgrades off of the bridge.
Okay, cool. All right. So you started off with brim prawns. Once you got down to that last spot, did you go back to your mussels, or what do you think?
Yeah, so not mussels on day one. I did have it rigged up, but I didn't throw it. Actually got those 2 upgrades off the bridge. Both were on a River to Sea baby vibe.
Nice.
So not something I usually throw, but the fish was so shut down that it just felt like they needed more a reaction bite.
Yeah.
And I got really tired of just sitting there waiting for them to eat a mussel. So I needed to do something more with the rod. So yeah, baby vibe it was. And yeah, plucked 2 upgrades. And then I saw Mum. She actually made it further than me for once. So she was fishing down towards Claysbrook Cove, which is sort of the next bay along. She came back from there and said she just got her 3rd and got it out of there, which was awesome for her to get 3 and also have a big run back as well.
Yeah, nice paddle. No, that's very good. That's very good. So you pulled 2 out of there just with the baby vibes, because I don't know that we've spoken about, I can't remember whether we've really spoken about that. Are you, first of all, what colour are you liking? And are you just the single hook on the back as well?
Yeah, single hook on the back. I run a size 14 decoy treble.
Mhm.
Single one on the back, less weed, less snags, really good hook up. Similar with the mussels, you get sort of all those three hook points of the treble get caught up in the corner of the jaw. So yeah, single hook and just in the black and gold, and also the bait fish. Didn't throw the bait fish that much until I got done on, what was it? It was just out in the middle of nowhere, but there's a few old jetty posts there as well where the old bridge used to run along. I lost one bait fish one out there and then ended up just throwing the black.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, look, it was enough to bring you back with what was a pretty decent bag anyway. It looks like you would have been maybe second overnight as well.
Yeah, pretty sure it was. Second, couple 100 grams behind, and I think it was 100 or couple 100 grams in front of third as well, or a little bit in front of third. So
A little bit in front of third. Yeah, it was pretty decent.
yeah, I don't think the top sort of three really moved that much, to be honest, come day 2. So it was a healthy bag. It was definitely heavier than I thought. I honestly thought I had maybe 1.7 or 1.8. So
Okay.
but they were really fat. And looking back at the actual sizes, like a 28 fork, a 33 and a 34 fork, that weight's probably actually about right. So
Yeah.
I just thought they were running a little bit lighter.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Now, overnight, we had a bit of weather come through. Did that change your plans?
Not a great deal. It just meant that I was hoping that not many other people would come right down. That has to be probably the worst day of fishing I've ever had weather-wise, though. So it
Right.
was a miserable, wet, cold, windy. You know it's cold and wet when you can put your hands in the water and that water's warmer than being outside of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it was freezing cold. I know quite a few guys got off early, but yeah, if I had have got off early, I probably wouldn't have got to where I fished and ended up catching my 3 fish on day 2.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, tell us about how it started for you.
So that old jetty opposite Maylands Yacht Club went straight there where I got the 34 fork on the Saturday. First cast, straight over the channel marker, got snagged, had to run in, break the leader off, ruined the first spot. So that was a complete doozy of a first cast. So absolutely ruined that. And from there, I didn't get a touch until I got all the way down past the next bridge, so past where I fished on the Saturday.
Wow.
So it was a really, really slow morning up until I went pretty much and fished that bridge for about 30 minutes. And then I went, Mum's not going to come down here.
Mm.
And I know where she caught that one fish the day before.
Yeah.
So without her telling me that, I probably wouldn't have gone in there, but headed into Claysbrook Cove and plucked out 3 fish in an hour and a half sitting in the same spot.
Wow. So that's interesting. Like, you've obviously in a good position day 1. You've started off, it's cold, it's wet, it's raining, and you're not catching in where the places where you're catching yesterday. And then you head down to another spot and are able to pull out a bag.
Yeah, so it was more a mind game down there because you sort of, Claysbrook Cove is sort of a little cove with a waterfall and a road drain at the back of it. Some people might not know, but the waterfall looks like the drain, but the drain's actually underneath. So the road drain is actually quite a big drain.
Okay.
That whole catchment around East Perth flows into that.
Right.
it looks like a lot because the waterfall's always running, but that's just a water feature. And underneath is the main drain. So I think I timed it really well. There was a break in the weather. That drain had probably stopped pumping out as much as it was all morning.
Yeah.
And just throwing a little pygmy mussel right on the waterfall edge, then pulling it down, letting that sink to the bottom. There were just fish there. And it was one fish every 5 or 6 or 7 casts.
Mhm.
And it was just a really, really fishing it really slow. Sitting there shivering, freezing cold. I look over and I see that there's actually a boat parked up, and it's Dave and Liam, the media boat, up in the cafe having a nice toasty and a warm coffee. So that made it actually worse, I think.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, got the 3 fish out of there, just pitching that pygmy mussel right on the drain. And then a big front came through, massive downpour. And I reckon it was only probably 5 or 10 minutes. And underneath where that waterfall is, that drain started pumping and it almost turned into a rapid. So I could hardly hold the kayak in the right spot. And the fish just turned straight off. So I think that was just a perfect timing and a bit of luck.
Yeah, okay. And to fish that area, what sort of leader were you running?
So all weekend I was throwing 6 pound and 8 pound with a Bream prawn.
Okay.
So reasonably heavy. And there isn't a lot that they can really bust you off on, but I don't know. There's just more confidence with that slightly heavier leader, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well, mate, that's a pretty good wrap up on that. Given the weather conditions and what have you, not catching fish for hours, like it's hard to keep going when you're cold and wet and it's not happening.
It is. Yeah. And to be honest, I fished that drain in pre-fish twice and I didn't get a fish off of it. So, I mean, I might have fished there anyway, but just to have that confidence that I heard Mum catch one there and I knew she wasn't going to be there, so no one else had fished it. It just, it really helped to have that little bit of more confidence from her as well.
Very good. Well done, Jenny.
Yeah, so I probably won't attribute the whole win to her, but definitely half of it. And to come back, they were the only real 3 legals that I caught were all from that one spot.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, very cool. All right, mate. Well, after that, you're cold and wet. At some point, you've decided it's time to head back home to weigh in.
Yeah.
What do you think you had?
I thought I had about the same as the day before. Maybe a touch lighter, but ended up being a touch heavier from memory.
Yeah.
So out that drain, I got a 29 fork, a 31 fork, and then I had a small one. And then I upgraded that small one to a 35 fork was my last fish, which was the kicker. And if you switch those numbers around with the day before, it probably works out about the same. And that 35 fork was just a little bit weightier, I guess.
Yeah. So tell me, if you didn't get the 35 fork.
If I didn't get the 35 fork, I would have had probably a 27 tipper in there.
Wow. So you would have been borderline with Matt, I'd reckon.
Yeah. And without the 31 fork, I would have had 2 fish. So
yeah, wow.
There wasn't really legals there. I caught a handful of tiny ones.
Yeah.
And then, those sort of 4 legals off of it, really. So without that, it would have been really tough.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, got there in the end, mate.
Yeah. So, but hats off to Travis. I mean, he really does have that pattern down pat. I did cross paths with him again. I did leave a little bit earlier than I probably could have. So I did cross paths with him a little bit on the way back upriver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched him catch quite a few more fish and you could see where they were stacked up. So, it was really cool to watch.
Yeah, very cool. All right, mate. Second place, what'd you get to take home?
Yeah, prize pack. I got a 4-wheel drive recovery kit. So Michelle from Getaway Outdoors keeping the trend going. She's put up some awesome prizes again this year. So, Getaway Outdoors Kelmscott really helping out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the prize pack and then a little bit of cash. Can't remember exactly how much it was. Might have been $300 cash.
Yeah, sounds about right. Based, I think Travis was $650-ish, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be right. So, $300 cash. Smaller prize pack than the other ones. And then, that little bit of recovery gear as well, which is cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So a bit of a change from the other fishing gear that we usually get, which is nice.
Definitely. All right, mate. Last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, it's almost 10 p.m. where you are. So hats off to you. I don't think people realise just how much time and effort you put into getting this up and running and how much goes in after your day job.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I've said thanks to everyone else before quite a lot, but I think the biggest thanks probably goes out to you for getting these up and running every week.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, mate. Well, mate, as we speak, mate, we're a few days out from you heading across to Gold Coast, so good luck up there. And hopefully you can find some big fish in amongst the silver yellowfin bream up there.
Yeah, hopefully some valuable AOY points along the way might be nice, but we'll see what happens.
100%, mate. I did hear or did see a fish around the 50 centimetre mark come out of there in the last month.
Yeah, I think just one of those will do. I don't need to fish both days then. So
I was going to say one of those each bag, you'd probably be all right.
Yeah, no, it'd be cool to get some big fish through there. I think, yeah, it's an interesting time of year, a little bit later than the last few years, and obviously the weather that whole coastline's had, it's going to be really interesting. So,
absolutely. All right, mate. Good luck, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks again, Andrew.
All right. So coming in first place, we have an angler dropping 3 fish for 2.53, which included a kicker of 810 grams. He backed it up with a 2.7 kilo bag, which included a kicker of 1.14, giving him 6 fish for 5.230. With me, I have Travis Newland. Welcome back, mate.
Andrew, how you going?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. That was a very, very good result for you, mate. Nearly 700 grams in front.
Yeah, good to be on top again.
Absolutely. And, mate, you got a 1.14, but you didn't quite get big bream.
No, it just cut short, but I think the average throughout the bag was what cut me on top, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was pretty decent. All right, let's get into this one. I'm really keen to see what you did. Obviously, you were a standout in this comp.
Yeah.
What about pre-fishing? Did you get out for a pre-fish?
No, my schedule's pretty tight with work on weekends. We went out a month before with Josh, my WATA friend, but we kind of just fished upriver because it's that time of year in the Swan where the fish are everywhere. They're in those deeper kind of pockets where they're either schooled up, ready to spawn.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really have anything to kind of go off. I mean, we caught fish upriver in like a month before the comp, but upriver tends to die off pretty quick. And I'm just confident downriver where I ended up fishing in the comp. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, pretty much went with my usual milk run, as they say, and just kind of stuck with what I knew.
Okay. When there is a sort of pre-spawn and schooling up phase, do you have any particular techniques that you like that you thought this is going to work?
Being a swan, I mean, it's like any other fishery that has black bream in it. You got to slow it way down, fish deep, fish heavy, and just be patient.
Mm-hmm.
I think day 2, with the weather that we had and obviously the pressure that the fish are under, I think that's what kind of put me ahead the rest and ended up getting a bigger bag on day 2.
Yeah, I saw that, and I've been told about the weather. When you see that bad weather coming, how do you feel about that, apart from the fact you're going to get wet?
Past experience, I've actually learnt to love it. I find it actually fires the fish up.
Yeah, right.
Is as much as you're sitting there freezing, the wind's a pain, especially in a kayak. That wind was howling that morning, but I think the big fish love it. They come out to play.
Exactly. I mean, although you had to stand out fish in that day 2 bag, your average was 900, so pretty decent. So that makes that kind of ring true.
Yeah. I've had, just from past experiences as well, when that wind's howling and that water's all stirred up, it just brings the fish out.
Very good. Keeps everybody else off the water, only crazy competition anglers.
Yeah, it gets rid of all the ski boats and the jet skis and yeah.
Fair enough. All right, mate, let's get round to Saturday. Tell us how your day went. Tell us about your first fish.
Saturday, as I said, no real pre-fish, so I just kind of, I'd like to, being the time of year, I kind of like to just work my way downriver towards the Belmont region, so through Maylands down towards Belmont. So there's a few spots down there that I like to just do a quick test cast or two, like on the way down, to see if the fish are schooling there.
Mm-hmm.
I think my first couple of spots, I just pulled up empty with nothing, no bites, no nothing, so I just kept pedaling down. Majority of the field stopped towards the bridge, which I was quite happy about, the less people down where I wanted the fish to better. I think the first fish was like a 29 tipper, which I got off a little creek mouth, which is with the weather that we've had was quite full, just pumping out with a bit of fresh water. There's a bit of a drop off there down to like 2-3 metres of the red channel marker near it. Generally, it's not a big fish spot, but generally the fish are always schooled at the front of it. Hence why I stopped there on the way down and, bagged a 29 tipper. And people kept passing me as I was stopped to fish. So I thought, no, I'll just take that one fish and just kept pedaling down.
Okay.
And then ended up, pretty much down towards Maylands where I bagged out.
Okay. And what lure did you start with? What if you're testing, what are you going to use?
So on the kayak, I just run 4 rods. So being the time of year, I think I had a baby vibe, the black and gold baby vibe, the little 3.5, I think, gram it is. I think I had a 2-inch grub, small bloodworm 2-inch grub, the Bruce, the Razor Edge Lures Bruce, the Yabby.
Yep, love the Bruce.
Yeah, and then I just had like a paddle tail style Fat Boy Swim, which is made by Razor Edge Lures as well, which is like pretty much a 2.5-inch paddle tail minnow profile.
Yeah, cool.
And that first fish actually came on that minnow profile as well, which was quite surprising, on a 1/16 jig head.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
But still, getting that first fish, getting the monkey off the back is always pretty cool.
Yeah, always aim to just get that first fish, and then that gets a bit of stress off your back, and then you kind of know if you got one fish on this lure, then surely, another fish has got to come around the corner and get on it as well.
That's it. I always go, no donuts here. No donuts here. So
yeah, it's always a good feeling.
All right. So you just got that one fish at the creek or wherever that was, and moved on.
Yeah, just kept working down. Spoke to a couple of other guys on the way down. They were kind of similar situation, very quiet, not many small fish at all. Like I said, I think I had that first 29. I kept going down towards Maylands. I think I bagged my bag ended up being my first one was a 36, and I had like a 34 just in behind the Belmont racecourse there.
Oh, yeah.
So by the time I got down there, I think there was 3 others lined up along the bank. So I just kind of slotted in behind and just kind of worked my way up with the breeze, essentially.
Okay. How'd that go? Because you're probably fishing dirty water, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so that kind of area, it's the main section in the river that's quite wide, but there's quite a deep channel that runs through there, and it gets quite a bit of flow, especially when we're getting the incoming tide coming up and the wind alone. So the fish kind of filter in and out through there. So you just kind of work through it and work slow just to get the bites. So fishing behind people, I'm not really too phased about, because, you're all using 10 different lures and techniques. And I think the time of year as well, you just got to slow it right down. The fish are there, and they're going to eat at some point because they're hungry, getting ready to spawn.
Yeah.
I think my first good upgrade there was at 36 and just persisted through. And then I think in the end, day one, I ended up with a whole bag of 36s. They were pretty identical fish.
Wow.
But day one, it was hard to pick that big bream that I weighed, which I think they were all around that 8 to 850 gram weight.
Yeah, which, as it turned out, it didn't matter anyway in terms of big bream.
I was pretty happy with that bag for day one.
Yeah, no, it's a great bag. All right. Now, the weather was better on the Saturday than Sunday. Were you ready for the change?
I'd like to say yes, but I made a very bad decision. So day one, so we've had this really mixed weather in Perth between the showers, the sunshine comes out, and then the wind rolls in, the cloud rolls in, it drops temp really quick. So day two, with the weather expected, after day one, I actually got, as you do, you get quite hot after the paddle in the morning.
Yeah.
And day two, I actually dropped some layers underneath my wet weather gear, which I think was a bad mistake, because day two, when that weather rolled in, that wind just went straight through my wet weather stuff, and it was freezing.
Oh, wow. So you're cold and wet. How good's that?
Cold and wet. So, yeah, I was a bit underprepared, but I think next time I'll definitely just cop the heat in the morning from the paddle and just wear through it,
Exactly. I mean, if you get too hot, you can stop and take it off if you have to.
Yeah, but then you lose your pace, and take you.
Fair enough. All right. Where'd you head off to? You head off to the same spot where you got the first one?
I was thinking before, it's actually probably one of the first comps where I've led after day one. I think good comp I won a couple of years ago. I think I was sitting in like second or third. I don't know. I didn't really like leading in first because it puts a bit of pressure on you. So I came home that other and re-rigged, and I pretty much set myself up with the same sort of stuff as what I did day one. Knew that I'd had more people down there day two fishing with me. But just kind of stuck with my confidence and just pretty much replicated through that kind of area through Belmont.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did the fish come easily? Like, to get one early?
Yeah, so instead of stopping and fishing on the way down, I just consistently just paddled all the way there, which I think's, I don't know, it's probably about a half-hour paddle from launch, not too far.
Yeah.
And I actually pulled in behind Matt McCarthy, and as the river bends to the left, there's a big overhang tree, and Matty was just past the tree, and I cast my lure out towards the tree on the end of it on the drop-off, and one of my first fish for that day, which I thought was a mulloway, the way that it took off and how heavy it was one of the keggers on day two.
Right.
I was lucky enough to get that behind Matty. And that's why I thought it was a mulloway, because I actually swam out from the tree for once instead of back in.
And
yeah, as soon as it come up and I felt the head shakes, I knew it was a big bream.
Right. And did Matty see you catching this not mulloway?
No, he didn't. No.
All right.
No.
Okay.
I was about that as well.
And what did it come on?
It came on the razor edge Bruce.
I'm a little Bruce.
Fish, yeah, just that's like the perfect, like the mussel and everything. No, that's like the perfect wintertime bait. You just work it on the bottom, and the fish are after that smaller profile, easy to eat, quiet. And that fish was just like the take on that fish was the slightest little tap on my rod.
Yeah.
What made me kind of think it was a mulloway as well was it actually kind of started darting off before I even felt it, and then you just load up on it, and it's already had a thing down its gob.
Yeah, right.
So it was a bit of a memorable fish because it's just the way it took it.
Yeah.
Big fish, but the slightest take, which I think was the story of the weekend because they weren't smacking it that hard, which I think is maybe why a lot of the others struggled. I don't know if that smaller bait profile and the smaller hook was just a bit easier for that bit more of a tedious bite.
Yeah. Do you think if you miss that tick on this weekend, do you reckon you miss the fish? Do you reckon they spit it out?
It's funny you say that because on that specific weekend, some of those big fish that I had day two, they would have 3 or 4 goes at it.
Right.
That's where I keep saying about like a confidence and consistency because you're fishing in the wind, you want to rush things, you can't get your line set properly. But if you just sit there and be patient, let you know that you're fishing a heavy enough weight, your bait's on the bottom of the river or where it should be, the bites are going to come along. And I don't know if it's something with the yabby, but they seem to just pluck at it. So I don't know if they're just trying to declaw it and they just come back to declaw again.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting because, I did have 3 or 4 bites and then eventually you'd get that proper one and you'd be able to just set the hook and load up on it, essentially.
Yeah. What hook are you putting in it?
If I have anything, well, pretty hard to get now, is the round 25, size 2, Gamakatsu hooks. If not, I just go the 211s, the little small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, mate, you put a kilo, you're in front in the comp and you put a kilo in the Weller's first fish. Things are feeling pretty good, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So after that, I still want to get my 3. So I just keep working up the bank. The wind at that area of the river was coming straight onto the bank. So I'm pretty much, at that point, sitting 3 metres off the bank and casting out onto the drop-off, which is a bit strange because when you're fishing out of a boat, you do the complete opposite. But anyway, I'd kind of worked up towards that bank in behind Matty as he kept moving up as well. And just kept working up until I felt like I was getting more bites and actually hooked another good fish, which I got a bit excited about and I may have rushed it and then pulled hooks both side, which was I was a bit devil about that, but it was kind of you kind of know you're in the right area at least. So I just ignored the losing the fish and just stuck at what I was doing.
Yeah.
It paid off eventually. So I had the kicker. I reckon I dropped, it would have been, I reckon, 37 or 38 on the kayak. I dropped it both side. And then shortly after, I think I actually got my second kegger. It did pay off.
Right. Okay. So you hook a kegger, land one, drop one, and then land one.
It was about 2-3 hours later. But yeah, you eventually get in there.
I'm feeling your pain because you have to think about that dropped one when you should let it go, but it'd be on your mind.
Yeah. Especially getting up to the surface, kayak, the net beside it, and then you see that hook just pull through its lip. You're like, oh. You get a bit excited. You just wish you take it a bit slower.
Yeah, never mind.
Lesson learned. You can't rush it at comp.
That's right. Now, at this point, you've got probably your two biggest fish, I'd imagine.
Two biggest fish, yeah. So I reckon it was just over kilos I had. So I was pretty happy at that point. I just knew that I just had to get my third, no matter the size. I think I had a 30 tipper.
Yeah.
A 30 tipper was my third.
Okay.
And just kept persisting in that spot. I did cross the river, I think, and go back a bit just to try and find some fresh ground, but I ended up just going back to that same 50-metre stretch on the race course, and I ended up getting a 33 tipper later in the day at about 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Pretty much secured my bag day two, and after that I had 3 other people fishing that area, and I just said, I've got 2 keggers, the 33, which would be probably 500-600 grams, whatever else. I'll leave the area and start heading back to the launch because I didn't want to be late. Yeah.
Particularly with that bigger bag. Okay, so look, just run through, what did you get? What were your standout lures?
So all my bag fish pretty much came on the Bruce.
Right, okay.
On the Yabby, yeah. So I did throw, it's become a bit of a confidence lure, but I did throw, like, when I would catch a fish, I did throw around the Outback Bream baits mini muss, or small mini muss, baby vibe. I like all those small profiles and fished heavy. I did throw that around, but I don't know if it's a confidence thing, but just slowly working the Bruce and, I don't know, being confident in it, I just stuck with it and it worked.
Yeah. And do you do any modifications to it, or do you use it straight out of the packet?
Straight out the pack on a heavy jig head. I do use a bit of scent here and there. I don't think it makes a big difference, but I think it's purely just that size and the bait profile. Like, it's a very quiet bait and the fish just pluck it up off the bottom like it's nothing.
Yeah. Okay. And for over there, which colour's your colour of choice?
It's a natural green pumpkin, so it's a bit lighter than the Z-Man green pumpkin, so it's a bit more, I wouldn't say bloodwormy, but it's a bit more see-through.
Yeah.
And colour.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. All right, mate, last thing on the fishing then, did you, what sort of lines and leaders did you run?
So that was all, I think, 12-pound braid with, in a Swan, I always just generally run 4-pound. I just run the Daiwa, is it the J thread? The J thread fluorocarbon 4-pound.
Yeah, sounds right to me.
So yeah, just all 4. If I was fishing a Samurai Reaction light rod, so it's a 1-3 with a Vanford 2,500 on it.
Okay, nice.
So if I'm fishing the Bruce, especially on the flats down there, there's not too much structure. It's all kind of broken, rubbly ground on the bottom that just goes to sand. So very soft tip, light line, and you can let them have a little bit of play.
Yeah, very good. Very good. And if you don't, you'd probably drop them boat side.
Yeah. I'm an idiot.
The funny thing about that is we've all done that. You've dropped the fish and you go, is that the fish that cost me the comp? Particularly if you've seen it.
Yeah. And then very, very rarely you back it up and catch another one, but I was very lucky.
That's right. Very good. All right, mate. Look, for coming in first place, what did you get to take home?
So I got $650 cash, which has been very handy, and the Hobie AC qualifying spot.
Very nice.
I did the AC last year in Camden Haven, which is great. Although I didn't catch many fish, it was still a good event. So hopefully when they announce the venue, I'll be looking forward to it.
Fair enough. Well, mate, there's lots of rumours, but nothing confirmed. So there you go.
So I've heard. We'll wait and see.
Fair enough. All right, mate. Last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to? Yeah,
just huge thanks to the WATA boys. The events this year have been pretty good. Michelle as well from Getaway Outdoors. She put on pizzas both days. So, freezing cold coming in after a kayak comp. Pizza's pretty delightful.
Mm.
Dave Bennett as well was out in his boat. There's a couple of other WATA boys out doing the patrols in the boats, taking photos in that wet weather as well.
Yeah, wow.
So, huge efforts to them. Obviously, Hobie for giving us that qualifying spot. That's awesome.
100%.
I think there's 3 of us maybe qualified. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a great event.
Yeah.
All right, mate. I want to thank you again for coming on. And, mate, I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks, Andrew.
No worries, mate.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
All right. So there you have it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that one. As always, if you want a little bit more, get into the collective at brimfishingproject.supercast.com. Definitely come along if you like it. Sign up, join in. If it's not for you, then definitely hang around for as long as you want. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next week on the Bream Fishing Project.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired, and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.